Next on our agenda, we will hear from Joy Jamerson. I was fortunate enough to spend some time with Joy last night and to get to know her a little bit better. This woman is fired up. So I will warn you that she is very passionate about the work that she does, and it gives us some other options for some innovative solutions to really be able to tap in to our opportunities with healthcare workforce development. Joy Jamerson is the Program Manager of Outreach at the Healthcare Career Advancement Program, which we call HCAP. I was fortunate enough to go, I was invited by Mary Taylor with KDE to go to an HCAP conference in Charleston. That didn't hurt my answer of saying yes to go to that. I mean, Charleston, who's going to turn that down? But it was a great conference, and we learned a lot of different things and learned a lot about different solutions that other states are using through apprenticeships. So we were excited to invite Joy to present about that. Before joining HCAP, Joy was the Workforce Development Manager for Cengage and Ed2Go. Joy is an innovative professional possessing strong analytical and organizational skills with over 19 years of experience and a proven track record of accomplishments in workforce development, state policies and regulations regarding their eligible training provider list, working with diverse populations, recruitment, strategic planning, coordinating talent acquisition, student placement, and budgeting. Please join me in welcoming Joy to the stage.
Hello, everyone. I was a cheerleader, so I think my voice will project. Good afternoon. I don't know why they put me after lunch. Everyone is sleepy and ready to go home. I'm not going to bore you. I'm just up here to give you some more information on registered apprenticeships and how it can be used as a workforce solution. I've been in this position going on 3 years now, come next month. And I have to be honest with you, I didn't know about registered apprenticeships until I got into this position. 5 years ago, maybe 7 years ago, every state was talking about industry-based credentials, right? Let's get these IBCs, people need to work, they need the certifications to work. And we were doing that, but they still wasn't getting the job. And why weren't they getting the job? Because of what? They didn't have the experience. So we were getting them the IBCs, but they wasn't getting the experience to get the job. So when I came to this position, I was like, you're taking what and doing what, and that's the solution? Then sign me up. Because a registered apprenticeship program is a proven solution that can help you build up your workforce. So a little bit about HCAP. Do not be afraid of that labor management organization. Don't be afraid of your hospital. We work with union and non-union partners, but overall we're a labor management organization, and our union is SEIU Healthcare across the U.S. In 2015, the DOL awarded HCAP a contract to be an industry intermediary to be the subject matter experts on figuring out how registered apprenticeships can be built and expanded in healthcare. And I'll be the first to tell you, in 2015, from the stories that I've heard, no one wanted to touch registered apprenticeships in healthcare because they said it didn't work. But then our friend, COVID-19 happened in 2020. And then in 2021, every hospital that told HCAP no said, okay, now what we're talking about, we think we need that to help us rebuild our workforce. So now we're in our second round of our contract. So we've been at this about 10 years now. And then last year, the DOL also gave us the distinction of an apprenticeship ambassador, saying, George, continue to do the work, run your mouth, and tell people about registered apprenticeships. So our approach is we offer free technical assistance to you all to understand the registered apprenticeship model. I'm pretty sure a lot of you probably went on the DOL's website. I know I was guilty of this. And if you don't know what you're looking for, there's a lot of information that will scare you and say, nope, I'm not doing it because it's too much. So we help you figure that out. We also help you customize the on-the-job training competencies. So Hospital A and Hospital B can be doing the same occupation in a RA program, but it's going to look totally different. So it is not a one-size-fits-all model. It's what fits for your organization. We help with recruitment, hiring, and retention strategies. And then sometimes we have money that we can give to you to help you jumpstart your programs. And it's an application process. And if I like you, which I like everyone in this room, if we have enough money, I'll give money to everybody in the room. So is registered apprenticeship a proven model? Joy Jamerson would say yes. Because 19 years ago, when I started out as a recruiter for Southern University at New Orleans, I had to recruit students into the university. And I was pushing college. My parents even said, Joy, go to college, get a degree, live the American dream. How many of your parents said that to you? And what is the American dream? $100,000 in debt? That's the American dream? Oh, you get the house with the white picket fence and a dog and some kids. Is that the American dream? Well, I want to say maybe 5 years into my career, when I was preaching college to our students, I had a student come up to me and say, Ms. Joy, I'm not going to college because I just got an offer letter to work on the train tracks, and I'm going to be making more money than you. Look at me, I got a degree. You're not making more money than me. My student gave me his offer letter, and I politely gave it to him back and said, I need an application too. So registered apprenticeships is not trying to take away degree program. They can fit in your curriculum that will help employers recruit your students earlier than later. So how does it work? Everyone knows we've been talking all day about our healthcare system across the U.S. When I go and speak anywhere in the U.S., healthcare is always on the agenda, and it's always the #1 industry that we have workforce shortages. Registered nurses, surgical technicians, medical assistants, CNAs, and the list goes on and on. I promise you, I wish that someone would have told me in high school that there are non-clinical positions in healthcare, because I only thought doctors and nurses when I was in high school. So there is a shortage everywhere, not just in Kentucky, it's in Texas, it's in Louisiana, it's everywhere. And what are we doing to figure out how to fill these shortages? So we're using registered apprenticeship as a model. Now, you don't have to use it all the time. This is not the only solution, but it is a solution that you can have in your toolbox. It's a solution that you can cast a wider net to recruit a more diverse population to fill those pipelines so we can have the talent that we need in healthcare. Tell your personal story. I almost lost my husband 2 years ago. And the reason why I almost lost I didn't try to kill him, y'all, I promise. I didn't try to kill him, even though, I'm not gonna say that loud. So almost 2 years ago, the doctor prescribed my husband steroid pills for an issue that he was having with his kidneys. And they were so short-staffed, no one called us to tell him to stop taking the medicine. He kept taking it. And I found my husband unconscious in our downstairs bathroom. My husband had to spend a week in ICU. And then, with all of the problems that was going on, and this was during COVID, I couldn't go into the hospital. My son at the time was 8 years old, so I'm going back and forth trying to figure out what's going on with my husband. It wasn't until 8 months later that we finally got a diagnosis for my husband. And the trigger was the medicine. If he wouldn't have been taking the steroids for that long period of time, he wouldn't have had to spend a week and then more weeks in the hospital, because we were back and forth in the hospital. So when they say there are shortages, I believe it. I have witnessed it. I have seen it. It is needed that we need to fill these critical positions. So who is to blame? I can't blame doctor. I can't blame nurse. But someone dropped the ball on picking up the phone and saying, hey, Mr. Jamerson, you need to stop taking that medicine after 3 weeks. He was only supposed to take it 3 weeks, and no one told us, and he took it for 3 months. So there is a shortage. And registered apprenticeship, like I said, is a proven model that can help with this shortage, so we won't have incidents like this happen. So how does it work? We're taking curriculum from the didactic training from a 2-year, 4-year, or online vendor and pairing it with the on-the-job training skills. I'm gonna take the registered nurse occupation. They spend, I'm gonna say 2 years, I don't know, 2 years in class, and then they do clinicals. If we turn that into a registered apprenticeship model, they're getting the they're still getting that same didactic training, they're just gonna get paid for clinicals, and they're getting hired by the employer. So there are different players in a registered apprenticeship model, and they like to call it earn while you learn. Some employers don't like the word registered apprenticeship. I said, you can call it whatever you want. Let's register so you can have access to additional funding from the state or from federal. So there are different models in the registered apprenticeship, but it is a registered apprenticeship program. So didactic training and on-the-job training, and we're marrying them together. So the different roles of an apprenticeship program is you have to have a sponsor. That person or that organization is the administrator of the program. They're going to handle all of the paperwork. Kelly 1, it was Kelly 1 and Kelly 2. Kelly 1 that said we don't have the bandwidth to take on the administrative work. That's what the sponsor is for. So the sponsor can be a separate entity from the educational provider or the employer. So HCAP, we serve as a sponsor, a federal sponsor. So we have about 32 programs approved that employers across the U.S. are utilizing, and they're not doing any of the administrative work. We're doing the administrative work. They're providing the on-the-job training and making sure that they're getting the educational didactic training. The second role is the education. Most of the time, post-secondary institutions think we're trying to change the curriculum. We're not the Board of Nursing. We're not any regulatory board. We need the curriculum to train, to educate these individuals. So again, we need the K-States, the Kentucky States, we need the University of Kentucky, whatever occupation that we're trying to build the registered apprenticeship program in, we need that education to support it. And finally, we can't do anything without an employer. The employer has one job, and that's to hire the apprentices and provide a mentor and pay the apprentices, because at the day one, they have to get paid, y'all. So can the education provider be the sponsor? Yes. Can the employer be the sponsor? Yes. Can you have 3 different entities serving in all 3 different roles? Yes. That's how the apprenticeship works. And a lot of people think, oh, we don't have the bandwidth to be the sponsor, so we can't do it. You can sign on to someone else's standards who are a sponsor over that program and be able to run your registered apprenticeship program. So, the components of a registered apprenticeship program. It is industry-led, and I made the mistake of saying this to a group of educators during the Tennessee Hospital Association conference, and they tried to attack me. I had to run. But it's industry-led because we're asking industry, what are their needs? What are you looking for? I ask an employer every time I meet with them, if I gave you a magic wand, what would you wish for first? And the first occupation they say is registered nurse. After registered nurse, it's sterile processing, surgical technicians, respiratory therapists, and the list goes on and on. But RNs is the number one occupation that every employer that I talk to is needing in the hospitals. So it is industry-led, and industry is telling us, we need this, so we need to make sure that the curriculum align with what industry is talking about. So industry-led, that's the employers. Secondly, it is a paid job. It is not an externship, it's not an internship, it is not clinicals, it is paid on-the-job training. And when that apprentice gets to that hospital or healthcare facility, they're paired with a mentor or a preceptor. So they're being able to work with someone that is already skilled before they retire. So I heard someone say we are going to have some people retiring at the age of 65. We can use those individuals that's already skilled and have many years of experience as the preceptor or mentor for this apprentice. We don't want that person to leave with all of that good knowledge that they have. Let's put them to work and say, hey, can you precept or mentor this apprentice? Now, when we say precept and mentor, everyone at the establishments cannot be a mentor or preceptor because they may be salty with that organization, and then you'll be looking for 2 extra people, not 1. So you have to vet your mentors and preceptors, and when I get to that slide, I'll tell you all about it. So it is a paid job. You do not have to pay them what an experienced skilled worker is making because they don't have that didactic training or that certification or that license yet, and they're gaining the skills. So you can start them at 1 wage, and then they'll be doing wage increases as the program goes. Now, typically a registered apprenticeship program is a year, but depending on the occupation, it can go up to 5 years. And I'll explain that further. So you have to have the educational component, that supplemental education. You have to have 144 hours of didactic training. That's education. And normally, if we're dealing with a 2-year or a 4-year institution, you guys work on credit hours. That means your program will meet the requirements. And this is not a Joy Jamison rule. This is not a state of Kentucky rule. This is a DOL rule that it has to be 144 hours. From the 144 classroom, it doesn't specifically have to be in the classroom. You can be sitting on your yacht. And if you are sitting on the yacht, please invite me. You can do online. You can do a hybrid model. Apprenticeships are flexible to fit the need of the hospital or the employer and the educational provider for that apprentice. Next, we have the on-the-job training. Now, this is structured. So we're not making up things that this individual will do once they get into that field or that occupation. We're asking industry, what are you wanting this individual to learn? So we're creating an on-the-job competency list. And my new friends at this table, we've been talking about clinicals all day since yesterday. And we can take what they learn in clinicals and add this to their on-the-job competencies. So they mentor or they preceptor will be able to deem them competent once they become competent in that particular task. Now, a registered apprenticeship program can be built differently. You can have a time-based program. That means when we have these on-the-job competencies, we're putting a certain number of hours for each task. You can have a competency-based program, which healthcare providers love. Once that individual is deemed competent, that preceptor or mentor is signing off and we're on to the next task. Or you can do a hybrid model. Some healthcare occupations have to do time and competency-based because of regulation. So you can do a hybrid model, you can do a competency-based model, or you can do a time-based model. So it's what you want the employer, and then what can the school do to satisfy that. So when they get to the on-the-job training part, there specifically, that is the role of the employer to provide, making sure that they have that preceptor or mentor and making sure that they're deeming them competent in all of those competencies. Another thing is, and we have to say that they earn a credential, but in healthcare, the DOL credential, certificate of completion does not mean anything in healthcare because every occupation in healthcare is either license or certification. So that individual who signs up to be an apprentice or who you select to be an apprentice you will be getting them to that final role of getting certified or licensed in the occupation. Now they will get a Department of Labor certificate of completion that's transferable. So if they just want to leave Kentucky and come with me in Texas, they'll say, hey, I went through this registered apprenticeship program. The employers know about it. They know that they're skilled. They know that they're experienced. And it'll be an easy fix. It's like, hey, okay, you got that experience. We'll hire you, even though you have to still go through the job interview. So the certification or the license, that is what we're gearing that individual up to get in healthcare. Not lastly, but one main goal that registered apprenticeship does is increases the diversity. When I was in Tennessee presenting this, I had someone come up to me and say, Joy, I can count the number of minority nurses that we have on staff with my 2 hands. and we got 10 fingers, and she had a big facility. So she's incorporating this so she can be able to cast a wider net to recruit a more diverse population. And lastly, it focuses on quality and safety. If I tell you I can make up some fake like nursing credentials on the internet, AI can do that for us, right? ChatGPT. So if I go to hospital A and say, hey, yes, I'm a nurse, I have all this experience, and then you put me on the floor, that I'm not a qualified nurse. I can bring harm to your organization. But with an apprenticeship program, when they're with that mentor or that preceptor, they're making sure that they're providing quality, because we talked about this last night, it's quality over quantity, and then they have more safety regulations around the apprenticeship program. So for the benefits of the employers, I get this all the time, what is it in for me? So it reduces turnover. Someone said last night that registered apprenticeships help them with their recruitment costs. If you look at your recruitment budget and by the time you hire someone, you probably didn't already spent $60,000 or $70,000 just to hire one person. And then if you're not starting with your incumbent workers with a registered apprenticeship program, you may lose people. So this program can also help with your incumbent workers, getting them on a career pathway to gaining those skills that they need. So it reduces turnover, it helps recruit and develop a more diverse population, it improves the loyalty with your current employees. They tired, y'all. I'm tired for them. And I'm only a nurse on Chicago Med, so come on now, we tired, we just want to go home. It creates a safer workplace. You can integrate new hires in this model, and you customize this training program. You have authority, employers, over this entire program and how it looks. For the post-secondary institutions, you're enhancing employment opportunities for your students. It took me 1.5 years after I graduated with my 4-year degree to find employment, because I didn't have work experience. And I was a teller. No bank wanted to hire me with a bachelor's degree. They were like, you were too advanced, or you didn't have enough experience. So I'm just like, I'm confused. I don't know what to do. Should I have went to school? Should I just been working at the casino? I don't know. So finally, when I did find my job, I was like, why it took me 1.5 years to find work after getting a 4-year degree? It blew my mind, and it really discouraged me, because then my crazy self went back and got another degree. So my degrees work for me. I would never tell someone don't go to college. But if they can't afford college, or they can't quit a job to go back to college, then registered apprenticeship may be the right fit for that individual. It increases the retention and the graduations rates, because you may have students that's working and trying to focus on getting their degree at the same time. So if I'm a nursing student or a surgical tech student or a respiratory therapist student, I still have to provide for my family, especially if I'm the sole provider. So I have enough time to study. So what do you think that student is going to do? They're going to quit school before they quit that job. And with an apprenticeship program, we are hiring them sooner than later. They have access to state and federal grants. I just showed, Joy, raise your hand. I just said, who is it? HRSA just put down a $59 million grant for behavioral health. They just awarded HRSA just awarded more entities to build their geriatric workforce. I don't know what Department of Labor is going to do in the coming months, but you have entities that's putting down funding, and states are putting funding behind registered apprenticeship because it is working. And if you are an employer sponsor, or you're just an employer or a school underneath the sponsorship of someone else's program, you'll be able to apply for those funds too. Your curriculum will align with industry, because we have those strategic partnerships in place to help you with the alignment, with making sure that you're teaching what needs to be taught when they get to the skills portion. You have opportunity to build more partnerships. How many of you know about workforce development? Not at your institutions or at the hospital association, but there's something in our world called workforce development, the American Job Centers, WIOA. That funding can help pay for training. That funding can help pay for wraparound services. So you'll be able to meet and talk with them to provide additional resources to your institution or to your organization for your students. And then it also have a huge impact on your community. Benefits for recent grads or your students, or particularly people that you're trying to recruit, you're letting them earn while they learn. So it's not like I'm a student, I gotta work 4 different jobs and go to school because I want this degree. No, you don't have to work the 4 different jobs because we're going to start you in the job for your registered apprenticeship program. You're gaining workplace skills. You're learning right directly from the source. It's an easy transition from school to career. You're still gonna receive your degree or your certification. You're gonna complete with little to no debt, and then it provides pathways to careers. So if you have an LPN student, you can build a registered apprenticeship career pathway from LPN to ADN to BSN. It is doable, and we here at HCAP will be able to help you do that. We've been doing it across the US. I would have to say the state of Florida does it very, very well. Texas is finally, y'all, a lot of people want to model behind Texas, and I say, don't do that. Yeah, I love Texas, but hey, Texas is Texas has now approved the registered nurse, so they have built a BSN registered nurse program. So a lot of states are finally getting on board with the registered nurse occupation, and now what we're tackling is respiratory therapists because that's another occupation that a lot of hospitals are reaching out for us to do. So funding. A lot of employers say, okay, what is this going to cost us? Typically, the employer, if they're the sponsor, they're supposed to pay for the training and pay the individual their wages. But there are resources and funding opportunities that can help the employers or the educational providers or the sponsor. So you have entities, the DOL just announced an $85 million grant. That was the Apprenticeship Building America. They just awarded that to several entities across the US. You have Pathway Homes, like a reentry program, that's ongoing funding. The HRSA grants, they're coming down the pipeline. Job Corps, workforce boards, state expansion funds. Kentucky was awarded $695,000 in state expansion funds, and healthcare was one of the occupations where industries to help expand registered apprenticeships. HCAP, we have funding. It's not millions of dollars, so don't write that application for $1 million. Write it for $50K. That's all we can give you. Foundations are getting the knowledge of registered apprenticeship, and they're putting up funding, and then also veterans. That is an untapped population that when they're transitioning out of the military, a lot of employers don't understand what they did in the military, and it's the same job, it's just different languages. So they're writing their resumes in military words, but the employer is not understanding. So an EMT in the military is the same EMT in the workforce when they get into the civilian world. Y'all, my husband is a 20-year vet. He was a Marine, and we had to redo his resume because it spoke Marine, basically. So it's an untapped population, and we're trying to make sure that these veterans that's transitioning, once they drop their papers, that they have these opportunities, and their wives, that they have these opportunities available to them. So if you are ready to start a program or you want to learn more about a program, this is how HCAP can help you. We are free. I had one person say, well, how are you free, Joe? How you get paid? I said, if you don't write me a check, don't ask me how I get paid. So So we provide you with that free technical assistance. Next month, I have a real good relationship with the Tennessee Hospital Association. They're presenting to the Tennessee Nursing Board next month, and we help them get all of that material together. So we're on several task force in Tennessee to get registered nurse approved, like paid clinicals, I should say, approved in the state of Tennessee. So we help you with regulations as well. We help with partnership building. If you don't know that this funding is coming down the pipeline, we do. I get an email all the time, and I send it out to my partners and say, hey, I don't know if you're eligible, but here's a grant that's coming down the pipeline. I just sent Joy one sitting at the table. So there is funding that can help you guys. And if it's not particularly for your area, it can still be utilized at your institution or at your organization because it's healthcare focused. So HRSA's right now is behavioral health. They had another one for community health worker. We're all talking about mental health, and they're trying to do what they need to do, and we need money. You can't tell us to build these programs without any resources. And the number one resource we need is funds. We help you customize the on-the-job training. We help with recruitment and retention. We help host events. We do everything. We even do the paperwork that needs to be submitted to the state for you to get approved, to be an approved sponsor. So we know that you are busy. We know that you have this to do and that to do. We know that. So we're taking that responsibility on. So if Hospital A wants to be the sponsor, we'll get all of the paperwork from the state of Kentucky Apprenticeship office and just fill it out for them, meet with them to make sure all T's are crossed, all I's are dotted. And then once they sign, we submit the information on their behalf. So there are ways that we can work together. And then another way we can work together is if you don't have a sponsor, but you want to do this program, like I said in the beginning, we are a sponsor. So we would take care of all of the administrative work. All you would need to do is have an employer and an educational provider. And right now we have about 32 programs, and that list is growing because we have hospitals calling and reaching out to us for different occupations that we have to go in front of the Department of Labor so they can make them apprenticeable. So some of the programs or some occupations are not yet apprenticeable, but here in the state of Kentucky, you guys are a state apprenticeship agency. And what does that mean? The state here can approve any program that they want to approve without the approval from the DOL. Texas has to wait for the DOL to approve a certain occupation. So if there is an occupation that you are needing and the DOL hasn't deemed it apprenticeable, then we can go to the state director here in the state of Kentucky, and that person will be able to get it approved once we provide the necessary paperwork. So next steps, contact me, call me, and we're gonna have a conversation because I know it's a lot of information, and we're gonna break it down. And we're going to discuss this. I'm going to introduce you to your state director and then any other apprenticeship training representative in the state, and we're going to all work together to get you together. And then we'll start developing your program, like choosing the occupations you want to start with first. I always say, like I said in the beginning, magic wand, registered nurse. If we can't get that right now, we can work on the other occupations. We can work with recruiting employers for you if you're an institution. So sometimes employers hear registered apprenticeship, but they don't understand it. So we'll go with you to help them understand. I love presenting because a lot of people come up to me and say, you just made that seem really easy. It is easy because I do it every day. I can't do Joy's job. I can't. She can do it with her eyes closed. I can do my job with my eyes closed. So we're here to help you, and it's all free. I just asked for coffee from Starbucks. We also help you develop the standards, and then once you're an approved sponsor, we help you with the recruitment. We help you with the retention. I like to tell employers, start at home first. And what does that mean? Start your first cohort with your incumbent workers first. Because if you don't give them the opportunity to participate in this program, then they're going to leave you and go somewhere else. Also, partner with the K-12. Partner with the secondary. You guys have a great apprenticeship going on. And if you do pre-apprenticeships, and there is no structure right now, we're trying to really structure pre-apprenticeships. The only rule is for pre-apprenticeship programs is it has to tack on to a registered apprenticeship program. So for those students that say, oh, I want to be a nurse but pass out at the sight of blood, you can really get them out of the way in the pre-apprenticeship program because we're introducing everything to them in the pre-apprenticeship program. That's just like prerequisites in any college degree. Everybody had to take college algebra. And are we using college algebra? No. So I'm a business major, and I'm not even using half of the skills from my business degree that in this position. So really work with your K-12 because that's another untapped population that we're not tapping in because a lot of people don't think that they can recruit 16-year-olds. And it really boils down to your child labor laws and what your HR rules are. I had an employer in Colorado ask me, well, can we recruit medical assistants that's 16? I said, I don't know, can you? What's your child labor laws in Colorado? What's your HR laws? She went upstairs. Child labor laws was 16 that they can work. HR had 18. She got them to change it to 16. So now she has now recruited 4 cohorts of high school students in her medical assistant registered apprenticeship program. And it's all about just calling, asking questions. If I don't know, I will research until I find out. So this is my contact info. This is me with my hair straight. I promise y'all. This is my hi, hello. I'm done. So I hope you guys got a understanding of registered apprenticeships, how it can improve our recruitment, how it can improve our retention, and how it is a proven solution. If you want to talk to other employers that's doing this in other states, let me know. I'll put you in touch with those rural employers, urban employers, any employer you want to reach out to. We'll be able to make that connection so you can be able to ask them questions as well. But if you have any other questions, my flight is at 6:11. I will be skedaddling out of here at 4:30 to make it to the airport. But I will be back for the Kentucky Derby. If anybody invite me, I will be back. That's if y'all invite me. But you haven't seen the last of Joy. My coworker is Madeline. We will be working with you guys very diligently to make sure that you guys understand registered apprenticeships, but also build and expand registered apprenticeships to increase your healthcare workforce. So that is my time. If you took pictures of me, make sure that you get my good sides and send them to my phone. And follow me on LinkedIn because I do put a lot of information on LinkedIn about registered apprenticeships. So thank you CPE for this opportunity. Thank you guys for everyone that I've talked to so far. Thank you for the welcome. Thank you for the hugs, the talks. Everybody want my necklace, but it's already claimed by Joy. I know one young lady wanted my dress. So I got clothes in the bag. I'm going to take off my dress and give it to her. I'm just trying to stay in Kentucky so I can help y'all build y'all healthcare workforce. So I got to do what I got to do. If they want this, you going to build a registered apprenticeship? Yeah, here you go. Let's go. So again, my name is Joy, my contact information, and y'all have a blessed day.